working out too well. Okay, so I'm just gonna pretend as though um, I'm actually recording a video. So because I kind of figured that I was going to be talking to myself, but it's all good because the purpose of me going live is to just get back in the habit of making videos and sharing content once again. So I wanted to start off quickly with an update. I'm Nadia, and I probably should just make this apparent that, my real name really is not Nadia. It's actually Monica, but I prefer Nadia. So now that's out there in the ethers of the world, it really doesn't matter. I don't really care. But yeah, I like Nadia better. But let me lower this. But I really wanted to update you guys and kind of make some content since I'm not recording any videos right now. Sorry for the crappy webcam quality. That's just what it's going to be for right now. Yeah, until I learn how to do cameras and connect cameras to the laptop, I can use my DSLR. But for right now, it's just going to have to be with this webcam. So a little bit of an update. So I haven't made a video for 2 months, and that really wasn't intentional. I recorded so much video content into BC, but throughout all the traveling, the SD card got corrupted and it broke in half. So all my videos got destroyed. So I was in a place where I really did not want to record them again. And then I didn't really want to be on camera. I don't know. I was going through a phase, maybe another Dark Night of the Soul, for the 18th time. But I did want to record another video after doing that series of videos. And I lost all my footage for Campbell Revolution. And when I was in BC, I was just recording some content. The only content that's still available is the one that I recorded on this phone. And it's just a lot of travel blogs. So I'm still debating if I'm going to upload it or not. But I might, because it's just good memories even for myself. I had a couple of days to myself, when my brother and sister-in-law, my nephews, my new baby nephews, they went back to Sweden. So I got to go to the beach town of Batumi, and then I went to Eureka Beach, and then I was meeting hitchhikers and stuff. It was super cool. And literally hitchhiking in the middle of the street, hopping on buses and everything. So it was super fun. And I got a lot of that footage. So it's just about me actually sitting down and compiling it all together into some kind of vlog. Now I have a lot of respect for vloggers because it's really not easy to compile all these little videos together and get the music and make sure it flows and all that stuff. That is a lot of work, okay? But I kind of want to do it just to see how the process is. So that might be something I work on this weekend to also get me back in the swing of making videos, even though it's not at all related to the basics of my channel, which is more about awakening and, plant medicine and whatnot. But it's good to have a break from that every now and then, because sometimes you can get a little too consumed with spirituality, and then you're unbalanced, and then yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's a little bit about what's been happening the last 2 months. And then December, I went to Campbell School. So I left to BC. I went to Colorado for about 2 weeks, learning Campbell, meeting beautiful people there as well. And came back, then it was kind of the holidays. I started doing Campbell immediately with my family. My sisters are also into plant medicine, so they were open to doing Campbell. We were doing Campbell almost every day. And then after that, I started picking up with other people that started messaging me on Facebook and social media and wanting to do Campbell. So it kind of just started unraveling, which is very interesting. I wasn't expecting that, so I just started doing Campbell for other people, and that's kind of how it's been. I literally did Campbell every day this week, so it's kind of just been in that space, which I really love. Today I actually got to travel to do Campbell. It was my first time doing that, so it was really exciting. I don't know, I'm just happy. But so I'm really excited for the future, and yeah, Cambo and just expanding to other medicines, you know. So I'm getting a lot of connections with a lot of different things, and I can't talk about that on camera. But since Cambo's legal, I can speak on Cambo. But yeah, so that's been going really well with Cambo and just getting the message out there. And yesterday we had a talk, you know, a few people came wanting to learn more, which was great. And we are having plant medicines talks every single month. So next month is going to be Bufo, and these are literally just talks. We can't advocate the use of anything. So we're just meeting up people that are interested in medicines, and we're going to have different speakers every month talking about a medicine. So I will probably update that also on Instagram. If you are in the Houston area wanting to, you know, learn more about plant medicines or all that, you can just find me at Raw Shamanic Soul or hit me a message on Facebook as well. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know if that, okay, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so I'll probably get to edit this part out. Now, where was I talking about? Well, that's kind of what I've been doing and focusing like a lot of my energy on. But then recently I got prompted that I need to get back on YouTube, make more videos, and, you know, just start sharing messages again. So that's kind of why I just started to go live. So maybe this can help me get out of my little not recording phase, like not really wanting to be on camera or even social media, but really, to be honest. And getting back into it, like slowly but surely. So going live, I don't really have to edit much. I don't have to like worry about thumbnails and all that stuff. So it's kind of just talk and then have the content there. And then later on, probably this weekend, I can start recording some videos again. Most likely it's going to be for Cambo Revolution because I have been filming a lot of people's processes that are willing to let me film their videos. So if I can get those videos back from people, I can upload that and then just start talking a little bit more about Cambo, the benefits, and testimonies, even though they haven't really recorded a testimony, but I can get people now to start making testimonies as well. So that's super exciting. Yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on with that. And now I want to talk a little bit about awakening because that is just something that I know I'm supposed to like be assisting people with, helping people through their awakening. And I do still get a lot of emails. I'm still doing a little bit of coaching right now. So one thing I wanted to talk about awakening, because this is a theme that I noticed a lot online and even some of the emails that I get. Knowing the process of awakening and knowing that it's a two-way street. Like awakening isn't just you kind of be complacent and do nothing and expect like your whole life to change or something. Because there was one message I received on Facebook wondering like, oh, like, do you really still believe in this awakening? Because I've been following this for years and nothing has changed for me, you know? So, and I feel like this is probably a common thing a lot of people may be wondering, like, oh, is awakening or the ascension really happening? Because, oh, I'm still working my same job, I'm still doing this, oh, I'm still in these crappy relationships. It's like, okay, you still have to put in some kind of effort. Like, yes, these energies are super strong, like they are trying to force us to make the changes and put us on timelines that we need to be on are to be on our highest and best self, of course. But at the same time, if you're still having resistance, and I think we all go through these phases of resistance and just these egoic battles within ourselves. But if you are not conscious of it, you can still stay in the same spot in your ascension journey. So, ascension is definitely real and it's happening, but it's just you really, really have to be super like hyper conscious of your actions, your emotions, and your thoughts. And it's not that easy. I know people talk a lot that it's so easy. Well, they don't really say it's so easy, but the perception is made like it's super easy, or like it's super easy to just surrender to your emotions. And we have built up so many generations and lifetimes of repeated patterns and loops. So it does take a while, which is why I like to tell people just to be gentle with themselves if they find themselves frustrated or in the same situations or emotional states longer than necessary, because I've definitely been there. And that's what I love about plant medicine and Kambo, because they will make you hyper aware of everything. And a lot of plant medicine also helps clear out a lot of those old programming and like ancestral programming and DNA programming that can keep us in these similar thought loops and processes and emotional states. So when it starts to clear out these layers of density more and more, you now have a clear channel to pick more like positive words for yourself and show yourself more self-love, as opposed to self-hate, or just creating new neural pathways in your brain, which is the beauty of plant medicine, which a lot of people really don't know about. But that's kind of why we're like trying to get the message out, like get rid of the stigma, because this is such a powerful tool, especially people that are coming from bloodlines that are heavy karmic, like karmically heavy bloodlines. And that's usually people that are dealing with a lot of addictive tendencies and personality traits as well. That's just something that I recently started to piece together. And I can use my own self as an example, because this family definitely has heavy karmic energy. A lot of addictive tendencies run into this bloodline, but we're definitely clearing it out. So I noticed that when you have these addictive patterns that are running in the bloodline, you really do need these like powerful tools like the ayahuascas and whatnot to help like erase those patterns, so we can be the generation to break these cycles, and like they call it the generational curses. We can be the generation to do that. I feel like it's going to be very, very difficult if we did not have the ayahuascas of the world, the ibogas, and the the peyotes and the San Pedros and the bufos. Like these are so, so necessary to like break these family and these ancestral karmic patterns, So like I just really see the potential now, and like seeing it also crystal clear, and why like how everything just plays out, But yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to talk about, because I feel that's also an aspect for a lot of people when they're feeling like, oh my God, I feel like I'm trying so hard and it doesn't seem like I can change my thoughts or I can change my emotional states. You have to, well, you don't have to, but if you're called to plant medicine, definitely answer the call. Or even working with Kambo. Kambo is definitely, it's not a psychedelic, but it is a powerful tool in clearing and just getting you more aligned with your soul. Like it realigns your energies and your chakras if you're feeling off balance, out of alignment, or if you are very up in the air, it will bring you back in your body and ground you and center you, so you can really see what's going on, because that's also a big thing for a lot of people. Oh, I feel like I'm talking a lot. So that's also a big thing for a lot of people, like especially people on a spiritual path, very, very ungrounded or disconnected from their body. And that was definitely me for a lot of my awakening journey. So I definitely understand that. My awakening was more top to bottom. And when you awaken that way, you awaken from the crown chakra first, which is overwhelming, and you don't know what to do because there's just so much information coming at you, and yeah, you're just overwhelmed, and it's just scary because you're getting everything. So a lot of people awaken like that, and don't ever really get fully grounded, so they're just up in the air year after year, floating on by, and it's really not safe, especially in the astral plane, to be awakening that way, because your body's literally a host. Since you're not in it, other things can just take over. So not really the most friendly awakening, but it happens, and it happens more than being talked about. So that's just something also to keep in mind. Like, grounding is super key. The more you are grounded, the more you can be aware of your emotions and your body sensations and your thought processes a lot easier, so that can definitely be another thing. And another thing about awakening is that, a lot of us, we're clearing a lot of our density. Like, I'm sure a lot of people already know this. You're going through layers of your own density. And in my experience, a lot of the aspects that we're working on, I kind of correlate it to the teachings in the Bible, because I feel like that's a good reference point for a lot of people. And it's kind of like the 7 deadly sins. So when we're trying to connect to the Christ consciousness within, we're basically letting go of a lot of this. It's not necessarily we're trying to eliminate or eradicate. We are literally trying to balance out these karmic patterns that we have probably acted in previous lifetimes and this lifetime over and over and over, because we were unconscious. We didn't know any better. So we were just basically staying in those states. That's the greed, that's the envy, that's the pride and the gluttony, the anger and the hate and the laziness. Like, all these states is what majority of us lived by when we were unconscious for most of the time. Of course, we have moments of where we're being kind and we're being loving and compassionate, but we were more ruled by our lower nature, our egoic desires. So we were constantly feeding into that over and over and over, building up all these karmic energy that when we go through this awakening and this ascension and we're getting lighter, we have to balance that out back to 0 point. And when you finally get to that 0 point, when everything's cleared out, that's kind of when you start to exist in these expanded state of consciousness, because your heart is lighter, you are practicing more compassion, love, and forgiveness, and you're filled with that much light to exist in, like, I guess they call it the 5D density, that state of mind, so that's kind of what we're going back to, and that's kind of connecting back to the Christ consciousness energy, or the oneness, like whatever word that resonates with you, the oneness, Christ consciousness, within activating your inner God, whatever you want to, whatever resonates with you. So yeah, so that's also a big part of awakening, in my opinion, and that's just something also to keep in mind, because I feel like those aspects aren't really talked about. A lot of people just like, oh, you can just do, like, whenever everybody's awakening, you don't have to change nothing, you don't have to do nothing, because I know I have been put through so many tests, or like being forced. Well, let's not say forced, because it's always going to be a choice. But I feel like at some point you're put in a situation that you like have to move forward. You can't. It's like you don't really have a choice, especially when your knowledge base becomes so aware, or you're so aware of your actions. It's very hard not to just move forward. Even though some people do consciously like choose to stay in the same cycles, but I feel like if you are choosing, like, oh, you set these intentions, like, you know what, I want to experience my highest timeline here on earth, or you want to do a job that you love, the universe can put you in situations that are like forcing you to move forward. Because I know that's what's happening with me, and several other videos that I've watched that are actually like talking their truth and their journey while it's happening. Um, yeah, you're getting to the situation where it's like, okay, everything will be taken from you because you have to do this thing so you can keep on advancing in your journey. Especially when you're really, really close to be fully integrated with your higher self and your light body, like you're really like squeezed to the you're really squeezed to the wall, like I feel. But yeah, I'm almost there. But I just have this thing. Anyways, I don't know why I'm laughing, but but yeah, so you may find yourself in those situations like you may just be kicked out of your property because you have to be forced to make your own money. You may like lose all your money, or situations that happen to you if the universe is wanting you to get rid of like addictions or just dependency on other people. Like you will have situations where all that'll be taken away from you, so you can learn to step in your own power and manifest on your own. So it's going to be different for everyone. And for me, I kind of am like getting into my own self with dependency, not being dependent on family, because that was always a big thing for me. Like always asking, relying on parents, or letting my brother bail me out, or this, that, and the third. So now it's like I've started to step into my own power, especially with the Canva. I'm making my own money, so that's a big thing for me. And then just expanding more with coaching and doing that again. So just getting my 2 feet on that. And then also with addictions, it's different for everyone. And I know some people may not see this as an addiction, but yes, food can be an addiction. So I had a long history of binge eating. I already talked about this on the other channel. And I don't necessarily binge right now, but I still have heavy emotional eating patterns. So especially when these energies have been really intense since the eclipse, I was still using food as a way to blunt them out. It was just it was my coping mechanism, since I was young. So it's like learning to fully break out of those addictions, because these are still things that can be holding you back, and it's different for everyone. Some people, it could be the alcohol, the weed, the drugs, whatever like maladaptive pattern that you were using before you were awakened to survive, and you're still doing that up until this point. The universe is literally putting you in situations where it's almost like you have no choice but to stop it and move forward. And yeah, that's kind of what has been happening to me. So I'm definitely getting so much better. So I'm actually trying to, for the past week, I've been off and on fasting. So I'm also just trying to continue that, at least for the whole Aquarian season. So I want to actually try to document one of my fasts, maybe like a 7-day fast. Like I'm not really a component anymore of long-term fasting, but I've been doing short-term fasts and like just trying to stay on the detoxing. But every now and then I'm still have these moments where it's like, okay, let me just still emotionally eat and not like sit with the discomfort. And that's the lesson that I'm needing to master, sitting with the discomfort, being okay, allowing everything to come up, and like breaking out of that habit. And Canva has definitely been helping a lot as well. Just allowing me to sit with that discomfort and really being aware of the moments where I'm trying to rush to grab something as opposed to being present and just being still. So yeah, so that's kind of where I am right now. I feel like this Aquarian season is definitely giving me the energy and the strength to just keep on moving forward and not like taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, being in that limbo. But yeah, so I think after a couple more rounds, or like during this season, Aquarian season just started. So at least by mid-February, I should be done. I feel like I'll be at a good place of like having a better relationship with food and not using it so much as an emotional attachment. And that's another thing with awakening. It's like you kind of do have to get into this point where you're not super attached to everything. Like we change the jobs, like we let go of the jobs, and then codependent relationships and whatever you're like super attached, like even food. That's a big one for a lot of people, which is learning to redefine our relationship with food and knowing that we are whole and complete within. We don't need so much food to fill these voids within ourselves. You know, it could be anything. And I feel like food is always something that people don't really talk about too much because we tend to think we only gravitate towards relationships to fill a void, or we only gravitate towards, whatever else. The people only talk about like relationships to fill a void, but a lot of us use food as a coping skill to fill voids, and that's still not healthy, and you're still feeling like you're incomplete. I shouldn't need to eat, like, even if I'm eating healthy, I shouldn't need to eat like 5 pounds of dates just to feel just to feel satisfied. That's obviously emotional eating at that point. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on. Just still have this need to switch around my relationship with food a little bit, and I'm definitely taking the steps in the right direction now and not staying in like that maladaptive pattern with food. I've come a long way, but there's just still a little bit more, and then I'll finally be at that 0 point with that, and I feel like I'll have a lot healthier relationship with food and not overindulging and being very gluttonous. And yeah, and I'm probably going to make this part into a separate video because I feel like that's something that really needs to be talked about, like food addictions and gluttony. And no, you don't have to be like 500 pounds to have issues with food. It's like, I don't understand that. That was somebody told me that, like, oh, but you're not overweight. It's like, okay, a lot of people have issues with food and they're not overweight. So it's not really about size. It's just about how you're viewing the food and what you're doing with it, like the energy behind it. Like, are you really using it for nourishment, or you're using it as an emotional attachment food and you can't let go? Like, you're a slave to food, and like you're waking up obsessed with food. It's always on your mind, morning, night, morning, afternoon, and night. Your life is consumed by food, even though I'm not really much in that headspace anymore, but I definitely was back in my binge eating days. That's all I did, like 24/7 from sun up and sundown, worried about food or exercise, overeating, over exercising, So that the mental part has definitely died down, but the emotional, like subconscious wiring, there's still a little bit of that there, which is what I'm trying to work through, clear out. Cambo is helping me a lot too. And yeah, balance that all out to back to 0 point. So yeah, so that's just one example. It's different for everyone. That's why nobody can really tell you how your ascension or your awakening process is going to look, because everybody used different coping skills and different things to survive when they were younger, or just growing up unconscious, or you're not getting your needs met if you're in households that you weren't getting your needs met, and you use these maladaptive patterns, So that's why it's kind of like you have to be in constant communication with your higher self, and your guides, and letting them let you know what you need to shift, or what you need to change or look into, or like address within yourself, so you can get back into that space of balance within. And then getting to that space of balance, that's when you get into your divine masculine and divine feminine energies start to work in unison with each other. So we're not getting rid of anything. We need our ego, we need our hearts, we need everything in the body. So we're not getting rid of everything. We're just learning to coexist in a healthy dynamic with our masculine energies and our feminine energies, which everybody do have, So that's another aspect of awakening. Wow, I actually talked for 30 minutes straight. I'm proud of myself. Yeah, so I've definitely been going through a lot of changes, activations, and now that it's Aquarian season, as you can see, I am turning into a motor mouth, but I'm happy because it's almost like Aquarians are coming back online. And I know some people may not understand this, but I've talked to a few Aquarians and we all feel the same way. Doesn't it feel like you're coming back online after like being off? Like your voice was, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like our voice wasn't fully integrated or something. But now it's like coming back on. It's coming back. And I think ayahuasca helped that too. Yeah, because when I did ayahuasca in the beginning of the month, that's when I started wanting to sing like so much. That was very funny. That was a very funny ceremony. But anyways, yeah, so it's Aquarian season, and so this is definitely my energy, so I'm extra hype now. So, and I have so much more energy, so I feel like I can go online like every day. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't believe I actually talked for 30 minutes straight. I thought I was only gonna talk for like 10 minutes and like get off because I didn't think I would have much to say, but I guess my voice is coming on back. So yeah, just going back to the 7 deadly sins. Like I don't really like to look at it as sins, you know. I try not to use that terminology, but it is a good baseline. The lust, the envy, laziness, pride, greed, gluttony, anger, and hate. So those were the aspects that we use in our lower nature, but as we are trying to shift more into these higher expanded elements of consciousness, which are centered around compassion, love, unity, acceptance, and forgiveness. So that's kind of also what the awakening process is about. You know, we're learning oneness, like looking at everything, even if you don't agree with other people's worldview, but we can still hold their viewpoint as valid and we can accept them and still love them for who they are, you know, and still have compassion and love for them. You know, everybody doesn't always have to agree with you, and it's not, we're no longer in this situation where, oh, if they don't view the world the same way as me, I don't want to talk to them, you know? And I feel like we've all been in those stages, you know, like where, oh, they don't think like me, I don't want to be associated with them, especially when we were living more in our lower nature, whether you try to segregate yourself based on race, political status, social, economic status, gender, like sexuality. I feel like we all have done that. But when we go through these egoic layers and we are connecting back to oneness, Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, we understand that everybody's still an aspect of who we are. So when we are looking at this person from hate or separation, we are still fragmenting ourselves. So that's also a big aspect of it. It's like, okay, you're looking at this person through this lens. There's an aspect of you that you're not accepting because we are all intertwined into unity and oneness. So yeah, hopefully that came out right. Well, just made sense or somebody understood me. Because sometimes I'm like, is anybody going to understand this? So yeah, so that's just a little bit about awakening truth. And I think I will probably make some separate little videos, like the, just in case nobody wants to watch this live that's almost 30 minutes, like just break it up into one, the awakening truths, and then the other one going into like just habits and addictions and stuff that we really have to let go of as we move into these lighter states of consciousnesses and these expanded versions of ourselves. And yeah, so it's like also in our awakening process, when we say we're returning to who we truly are, this is like literally going back to us remembering that we're literally ascended masters and archangels and all these higher beings, you know? So if you really think about it from that context, okay, do you really think the highest version of you is still going to be having issues, you know, smoking cigarettes and like having these maladaptive behavior patterns, you know, when you really think from your highest, truest nature, you know that's not really going to align, you know, and of course it's definitely going to take time. We have to be gentle with ourselves. We had so many decades of doing this stuff, so it's not something we can just let go overnight, even though people may make it seem that way. And some people might be able to let go of like maladaptive habits and addictive tendencies overnight, but that's not the case for the majority of the people. And I know that's not the case for me, especially coming from an addictive background and an addictive bloodline. You know, there was a lot of people that had alcohol addictions in this family. Food addictions, that's definitely something that I carried over. And then, you know, other kinds of addictions, drug addictions. So this is a very addictive, heavy bloodline. And a lot of people have that in their bloodline, even if they're not super aware of it. So we have to be gentle with ourselves. You know, it takes a while to clear the stuff out, which is why plant medicine is so powerful, because it definitely speeds up the process of clearing out heavy bloodlines. So I definitely always encourage people, if you're called to it, there is a reason. Definitely answer that call. Yeah, it definitely helps a lot, because I can't even imagine how long I would be detoxing if I did not have plant medicine, probably till I'm 60. Now I can see why people detox 20, 30 years, because yeah, you have to use plant medicine, especially for heavy bloodlines. If you don't, if you're coming from a bloodline that's a lot lighter, you haven't accrued as much karma, then of course, you know, it doesn't apply to you. But heavier, denser bloodlines, you need some assistance, and don't get your ego all into it. Just work with the medicines, the frogs, the toads, they're all here to help us. You know, they are such beautiful teachers. Like, yeah, I can't even explain. Like, I'm just so grateful, to be honest. But yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of why I switched over to wanting to share more of the plant medicine, because there's still so much stigma around plant medicine and using these powerful sacred tools in this way. It definitely is going to help a lot of people towards their liberation, because yeah, I just don't know how a lot of people will be able to free themselves if these plant medicines haven't came up. Like, they came up at the right time for this reason. So yeah, so I don't even have anything else to say. Is anybody gonna want to say hi to me, or y'all just gonna stalk me on the low? But that's fine too. You know, I really thought I was just gonna be talking to myself anyway. So at least somebody's here wanting to spend a Friday night with me. But I think I might be getting off soon anyway, because it's almost been 40 minutes. But okay, so I'm also wanting to start a fast tonight. So I'm going to try to come live every day during the fast. It's not going to be super long, but maybe like 7 days. Like, I'm not doing the whole 21-day stuff. Long fasts don't really end well with me. So especially if you're somebody that comes already from an addictive background. Yeah, I did 14 days in November, and I mean, it didn't end horribly. Like, it was okay, but I still just don't want to go in that space anymore. So I'm going to try to shoot for 7 days. And then if anybody wants to join me, feel free to join. It's probably just going to be water. You know, I've done a few days of coconut water off and on, and just doing some fruit off and on. And I'm going to try just doing water for 7 days and see how it goes. Oh, hey, Tina. Hi, I just caught you. Oh, awesome. Yay. Yeah, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of awakening talk. I really just thought I was going to be talking to myself, because I don't really have much subscribers. So, but thank you for popping in and saying hi. Yeah. So I'm probably going to go live tomorrow around this time, because I am starting to fast and I want to share my journey with you guys. So just do some daily check-ins, and it will help keep me accountable as well, and maybe be some motivation for you guys if you are trying to formulate a new relationship with food. Can help jumpstart your journey as well. Yay. No problem. So I hope you guys have a beautiful Friday night. And thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you guys possibly tomorrow. All right, bye.